Joining us now is Shaindle Braunstein. She is the CEO of JARC, back with us once again on the MegaCast. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So for those that haven't seen you on with us before or haven't heard of your organization, tell us about JARC, kind of its origin story and its mission and some of the services that it provides to people here in our community.
Okay, JARC is actually finishing out its 52nd year of service in Metro Detroit, and we are a provider of residential services to adults with developmental disabilities and cognitive impairments. Our goal is to make sure that regardless of somebody's abilities, they're able to live their fullest life.
And so, how did you come to work for JARC, and what do you, from your experience as the CEO of this organization, believe is the greatest impact this organization makes on the lives of those that have these developmental disabilities and are needing to navigate what can often be a very difficult situation, trying to navigate living a regular life like you and I may live, albeit while also tackling an ongoing battle with the developmental disability that they have?
Right. So my background actually for the last 16 years has been in human service, and I was very focused in my career trajectory and ensuring that the work that I was doing was assisting persons who could otherwise become marginalized. And when the opportunity came up at JARC, that obviously completely fit the bill. And I would say really the area that we make the most difference, beyond, of course, basic needs and making sure that people have adequate housing and food and clothing and all the other things that we need, again, just to survive, is that we allow our people to really become their true selves. If somebody wants to explore an interest in music, we make that possible. We really look at every person through the lens of being the individuals that they are, and we don't see them, right, through the lens of their disability. We see them through the lens of their interests, of their passion, of their desires to be part of community and to make a difference. So I think that's really, again, where we make our mark.
We're joined by Shaindle Braunstein, the CEO of JARC, joining us on the MegaCast. And so you mentioned that the services that are being provided are helping to aid these individuals with developmental disabilities or impairments that may make everyday life and everyday things that we do or need to do in order to maintain our life much more difficult because of their situation. What are some of those services that are provided to help bridge those gaps by your organization, and how many people at this time are you serving?
Right, so we're serving about 135 individuals right now, and our settings range from small residences of 2 people up to again 6-bedroom licensed adult foster care homes. And one of the things that we're doing, and we actually just received some funding from it, from the Donald Master Simon Foundation, which we learned during the time of COVID, when obviously so many things were shut down, for our people too, in order to keep them safe. They were really housebound, going on right close to 2 years now, that so many activities are simply not available because of safety issues. Obviously, a number of our people have underlying health conditions that, make it very scary for them, again, to have COVID. And even with vaccinations, with recent surges, we've sort of had this push-pull. So one of the things that we noticed was that we really needed to find individualized activities that would allow people to pursue their interests, even if they weren't able to get out of the house, right, and go to supported employment, attend workshops, attend social programs that we normally would be out in the community attending. We really needed to figure out a way to bring that into our homes, certainly for the short term, and we're really looking at it and saying it's a wonderful long-term enhancement. So we now employ a recreation therapist who is working sometimes, again, one-on-one with one of our persons who may, again, be suffering, potentially potentially from depression around isolation or anxiety around the pandemic and all those fears that we're all experiencing. And music, right, may be respite for them, or art, again, or card games, or organizing collections, really identifying what are the activities that this person is interested in and what can we do to help them build their skills and to, again, help keep spirits up and develop talents and experience joy. And we're doing that both in one-on-one settings, again, as well as within groups, within our homes, people who are living together.
And so we're joined by Shaindle Braunstein, the CEO of JARC, on the MegaCast. And just earlier this month, now it's February, so late last month, JARC received a $25,000 grant from the Donald R. and Esther Simon Foundation to support new therapeutic programs, particularly aimed at combating some of that isolation and depression that you talked about. That's commonplace with a lot of people with or without developmental disabilities, but can be especially important for maintaining some of that progress that these programs have provided over the long term and over the short term for these individuals that you serve as well. Can you tell us about the therapeutic program that this funding has been able to provide greater access to, and how difficult it would be without this kind of funding from these generous donors to be able to provide these programs to these individuals and continue that progress despite the challenges of this ongoing pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you touched on it, right? This pandemic has been challenging for all of us, and we're all experiencing, right, this loneliness that, again, just seems to be going on and on and on. And many of us are able, right, to get on Zoom, right, to get on FaceTime, to use technology to engage with others. You can imagine if you were a person who, potentially does not communicate verbally, you have other forms of communication, and you're not comfortable with technology, what that isolation could do to you and really be compounded. So again, our program is allowing us to marry some of the online activities that we've undertaken, really, again, going on 2 years, with that personal one-on-one for people who need the human interaction, and the activities are very much person-centered. So again, if this is somebody who really needs to make sure that they're maintaining, again, their stability of balance, it may be playing a dancing game. If this is someone, again, who needs to make sure, right, that they're continuing, to use their hands for small movements, we might use musical instruments, right? We may use art. So it can really be anything, again, that is going to help that person to keep their skills sharp and also really allow them that human touch. We have a young man who we serve, and something that we discovered through this process, and this is someone who's been with us for a few years, and again was attending a workshop during the day. And this young man had a vocabulary that we thought was about 50 words. And something that was discovered through this process, again, of our recreation therapist working with him around his interest, he started to name animals. And she discovered that he wanted to tell her about his day at the zoo. And through this process, again, of interacting around this with some of the flashcards, again, and animal names, we discovered actually that his vocabulary, was 250 words and growing. We hadn't yet figured out the right way to hear him, right, to truly understand what he was trying to tell us. So you can imagine, again, beyond just the maintenance, it's really gratifying to see some of these leaps that our people are making, even though we're in less than ideal conditions right now.
We're joined by Shaindle Braunstein, the CEO of JARC, joining us on the MegaCast. You can learn more information about the organization by visiting JARC.org. That is JARC or JARC.org to learn more information. And so, these programs, just that one success story, really shows how much these programs, these specific programs, these therapeutic programs, just how much of a benefit they can have in the lives of those that do have developmental disabilities or impairments. And so, Going back to just the general services that are provided by JARC, the primary funding source for long-term support for people with disabilities tends to be Medicaid, and that generally can cover about 80% of the basic necessities of their life, or 80% of total money that's needed for them to really live as normal of a life as possible. That other 20% can be really difficult for them to obtain for a number of different reasons outside of the fact that they're dealing with a developmental disability or disorder. And so how does your organization, on top of these kinds of programs that are very specialized and are often specially funded like they have been from this $25,000 grant, how do you help to bridge that gap with them? And just how important is community funding to providing the opportunities for you to bridge those gaps with as many people as possible?
Right. So community funding is huge. I mean, you said it. We tell people all the time, nobody wants to live an 80% life. And again, we're incredibly grateful and fortunate to be the beneficiaries, right, of the funding that comes through the Medicaid line. And that provides critical services to our folks. But the extra things, right, birthday parties and get-togethers and barbecues, or again, the activities that we just talked about that really provide quality of life, those come from our philanthropic efforts. And again, there are foundations within the community that we reach out to that support us, many individuals who make contributions. We do host a large event each year, again, and 100% of the proceeds go, to fund these sorts of things. So we really look at it and say, the community are our partners in making this happen. The beautiful thing being that we really have an opportunity to take, again, that funding we're receiving for basic needs and leverage it against philanthropic dollars and really create something spectacular. We have people that we've served for their entire adult lives who have had, opportunities, again, to engage in music and go on vacation and take art classes and have friends and have parties and all of those wonderful memories that we all want. And that has really been because of the generosity of our community in making that happen.
We're joined by Shaindle Braunstein, the CEO of JARC, joining us on the MegaCast. More information about the organization as well as how you can help them by volunteering or by donating, should you be able to do either or both, is at their website, jarc.org, JARC.org, jarc.org. And so on the topic of fundraising, during the fall you raised about $1.3 million from your fall fundraisers. Give us some insight on just how far that kind of money goes, because $1.3 million is a lot of money. It is a large sum of money, but for the care that you're providing, for the services that you're providing, and on top of that, the number of people you're providing those services to, I would imagine that as much money as $1.3 million is, it can only go so far to helping so many people. Just how far does that kind of funding go, and how does that inform the necessity and the efforts that are put into fundraising all throughout the year?
Right. So again, it is a tremendous amount of money. And when you look at it, though, right across that number of people, that funding makes sure, critically important, that all of our homes have a designated van that makes sure that people can not only get to their medical appointments, which would be essential, but people can get to their leisure choices, to be places where they want to be, that all, again, of those vans are equipped with appropriate wheelchair slots and lifts, again, making sure that regardless of your ability or disability, you're able to come and go as you want. So again, it's hugely important. And, ultimately, we probably spend closer to $3 million a year, again, in philanthropy to make sure that every single person we serve in every setting, in every home, has everything that they need, from holiday celebrations, again, to birthday parties, to transportation, to leisure activities, and making sure that they have staff support available, not just for their safety needs, but to be able to engage in the activities of their choice.
Yeah, and if you think about the numbers, I just ran a very quick calculation. You said you have about 100 clients, a little over 100 clients that you're serving at any given time at this point in time. And so $1.3 million, you divide that by 100 clients, it's $130,000 divided by 12 months of the year. That's roughly $11,000 per month for each of these individuals for these programs. That includes all these additional programs, as you said, the transportation, the staffing, on top of fulfilling that extra 20% that Medicaid funding may not be able to cover. So if you really break it down, it really goes to show that, yes, your organization is during these fall fundraisers pulled in a lot of money, but at the same time, that is only going so far. And if you think about the programs that are going into what you provide in your services to your clients, that just shows how critical funding is for organizations like yours and for other organizations as well that may also be bringing in similar funding in any given season, but it's going toward these significant programs. We're joined by Shaindle Braunstein, CEO of JARC, joining us on the MegaCast. For those that are interested in serving with the organization, of course, donating would be a significant help to the organization, but there are volunteer opportunities as well. Can you speak to some of those volunteer opportunities that may be available at this time, or if they aren't as available at this time due to COVID in the future?
We always have volunteers, again, and always opportunities available. We say all the time, there is room at our table for everyone. That is our mission. And volunteer opportunities can range from assisting us with administrative tasks, which always have to happen, to, again, potentially hosting an online or outdoor activity for a person served, for delivering supplies, for assisting us with food deliveries, again, grocery shopping, things like that. So if you can dream it, we can make it happen for you. And again, we always underscore, because that speaks to the work that we do, that everyone and everybody's special skills are welcome at our table and will help us to, again, just make our community that much better.
Well, Shaindle, just a couple of minutes with you before we'll say goodbye today. Anything else that would be important for our audience to know at this time about your organization, or things that we should be keeping an eye out for from JARC in the near future?
So again, I always say, the most important thing that people can remember is to understand, right, that just because somebody has a developmental disability does not mean that they are a less than. I think that we often assume, right, that somebody who may be differently able doesn't necessarily have, the same dreams and hopes and goals, and nothing could be farther from the truth. Just the way that they need to approach accomplishing those dreams and goals just takes a little more effort. And I think it's just incredibly important that we all look out and remember that each one of us is different, but each one of us, again, regardless of our abilities, is unique and wonderful and special. And just taking a minute, right, to look to the outside world and to see everyone as the unique human that they are.
Shaindle, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.